For the year 1975, I've come to Blackpool to meet members of the Blackpool Civic Trust, as it was in 1975 that the group first began. And to tell me how and why it formed, I'm joined by David Owen, who's an original member of the Trust, as well as Elaine Smith, the chair of the group, and a new member, Anthony Williams, who wasn't even born in 1975, I found out. But David, you were a former member. You helped set up the Civic Trust. So tell us, how did it come about? Why was it formed?
It was in the events following the success of saving the Grand Theatre. And John Hodgson, who was one of our co-chairmen of the Friends of the Grand, he was at the time the president of the Lytham St Anne's Civic Society. And he took me on one side because I was involved myself with the Grand Theatre success. And he said, David, if I can get Geoffrey Thompson at the Pleasure Beach to act as a chairman and to try and get a meeting at the Gaslight Bar at the Pleasure Beach, would you act as secretary? And of course, we'd been so enthused with having achieved the saving of the Grand, and with so many buildings in Blackpool having disappeared, it was the right moment to do it. And I was delighted to do the secretarial work, and indeed, for the first few years of the Civic Trust, I was in charge. So it's very nice to be remembering those times.
Now, 1975, around that time, around that same era, it was the time that quite a lot of civic trusts were set up and established. Well, the decade before, really, as well. Do you think that helped getting the status of it and getting it set up?
Quite the contrary in Blackpool. We were looked upon as a little group of cranks. We were mavericks. What had Blackpool to support and protect? So we were a very disparate group. I think 20 to 30 of us met at the Pleasure Beach that first time. And apart from having a pride in Blackpool because of its history, I don't think too many, from outside anyway, thought it would succeed. We weren't an old historic town like Lancaster, or indeed Preston or Blackburn or Burnley. We had a very short history. And I think even those of us who met that first time were rubbing our eyes as to where this might lead.
Now, it's volunteer-run, the Civic Trust, and as a lot of civic trusts are. Yet it's run by people who are obviously very passionate about the heritage of their town and the buildings that need to be saved in the future as well as in the past, then, is it, David?
I think it's a collection. Civic pride is the start of it. Every town has something special about it, and I think it's up to folk who live in a town to try and retain the best of the past, but at the same time have a very permanent eye fixed on the future, because I think we are concerned with high standards of architecture. We like good design in our towns. We're building now for our children's future. And it's right and proper that a decent civic society, whilst very proud of what it's achieved thus far, as a city, as a town, as an authority, we're very much concerned too with what happens in the future.